If I told you that you could go to bed bad at English and wake up fluent, you'd probably say, sign me up. I get it. That would be amazing. But here's the real story. Hey friends, welcome back to Fluent English Journey. I'm Tom, and today I want to talk about a big claim a lot of people believe, learning a language while you sleep. Maybe you've seen a YouTube or TikTok video. Maybe you spotted a book or an app that promises, press play while you sleep, wake up speaking English. It sounds like a dream, right? Close your eyes, drift off, and boom. Perfect English by morning. No effort, no stress, no study, just sleep. But it doesn't work that way. Language learning plays by different rules. You need attention, you need to notice words, you need focus, you need effort. In this episode, Mike, I'm going to show you why, all in simple English, step by step. Let's dig in. When we're tired and life gets busy, we all want shortcuts. Of course, it feels great to think, I'll just learn while I sleep. It feels like magic. And yes, sleep is important for learning. Sleep helps your brain lock in what you studied during the day. It helps your brain store information safely. But sleep isn't the same thing as learning. Think about it this way. If sleep alone could teach us, then every baby would wake up knowing math, science, history, and English just by hearing them at night. But that's not how it happens. Babies don't wake up speaking. They listen, they notice, they try, they repeat. And it takes years of effort. So when someone says, play this video while you sleep and you'll learn English, remember this. It's too good to be true. It really is. Scientists have studied the brain for a long time and asked a simple question. Can we truly learn new things while we're asleep? Their answer is clear. No. When you're sleeping, your brain is resting. Your attention is off. You're not focusing. And without attention, real learning doesn't happen. Attention is like a light switch. When the light is on, you can see clearly. When the light is off, you're in the dark. During sleep, that light of attention is off. Now, to be fair, a few small studies show something interesting. While you sleep, your brain might pick up a tiny association, like linking a sound with a smell. But that effect is small. That's not language learning, because English isn't one sound or one tiny connection. English is big, it's huge, it's thousands of words. It's grammar and structure, it's rhythm and stress, it's culture and meaning. You can't absorb all of that while you're dreaming. So here's the truth. Sleep protects the learning you did while awake, but it doesn't replace the work. If you want to speak well, you need to listen with attention, notice patterns, and practice on purpose. That's how your brain says, okay, this matters. And that's when sleep steps in to help you remember it. And that's exactly what we're going to keep doing here, learning while we're awake and letting sleep do its proper job afterwards. You know what? Trying to learn English in your sleep is simply too much and too complicated. Real learning doesn't happen while you're dreaming. Real learning happens when you're awake. It happens when you listen carefully. It happens when you repeat words out loud. It happens when you write sentences with your own hand. It happens when you speak, make mistakes, and then try again. True learning shows up when you give your full focus. Now let me share another key idea with you, something called noticing. So, what is noticing? Noticing is that little moment when you hear or see something new in English and your brain says, hold on, this is important. I want to remember it. Picture this. You're listening to me right now and I say the word effort. Maybe you've never heard that word before. You stop and ask yourself, what does effort mean? You check it and you realize it means hard work. Then you repeat it. Effort. You even make your own sentence. Learning English takes effort. That moment right there, that's noticing. And that's where learning truly begins. Noticing can happen in many ways. Maybe you spot a new word in a book. Maybe you hear a phrase in a movie. Maybe your friend says something in English and you think, I've never heard that before. You write it down, you repeat it, and you try using it. That's noticing. And here's the truth. Learning is not just about hearing sounds. It's about noticing those sounds, noticing the words, noticing the patterns. And that doesn't happen when you're asleep. It only happens when you're awake and paying attention. Now, don't get me wrong, sleep matters a lot. Sleep is your friend. When you study English during the day, your brain is busy making new connections. At night, while you sleep, your brain strengthens those connections. So yes, sleep helps you keep what you've learned. But sleep can't give you new knowledge. And now let me give you a clear warning. There are plenty of people online who want to sell you an easy shortcut. They'll say, buy this audio, play it while you sleep, and you'll learn English fast. They make big promises, but those promises are lies. They don't care about your progress, they only want your money. Real teachers tell the truth. Real teachers say, yes, you can learn English. Absolutely, you can. But it takes time. It takes effort. It takes practice. That's the truth. So if you can't learn in your sleep, what should you do? Here's what actually works. Listen every single day. Even 10 minutes of focused listening makes a difference. Notice new words. When you hear one, stop. Check it. Repeat it. Try to use it. Practice speaking. Don't wait for perfect English. Speak now. Make mistakes. Learn from them. Review often. Go back to old lessons. Repeat them. Review makes your memory stronger. And yes, get good sleep. Sleep protects what you learned during the day. But never forget, sleep cannot replace effort. So my friends, don't fall for the myth of learning in your sleep. Instead, believe in yourself. Believe in your effort. Believe in the power of your brain. Learning English is possible. You can do it. You will do it. But it takes time, attention, and effort. Thank you for spending this time with me on Fluent English Journey. I'm Tom. Remember, even 5 minutes of focused practice is better than hours of sleeping with English in the background. Stay strong. Stay focused. Keep learning. Keep listening. And above all, keep believing in yourself. Bye for now. Тож дозвольте мені залишити вам 3 прості істини. По-перше, більше слухайте. Зробіть слухання серцевиною вашого навчання. По-друге, часто повторюйте. Вибирайте прості аудіозаписи. Повторюйте їх багато разів і не бійтеся помилок. По-третє, будьте терплячі. Довіряйте процесу і дайте собі час. Дуже дякую, що приєдналися до мене тут, на Fluent English Journey. Я Том, і я з нетерпінням чекаю на ваші успіхи. До наступного разу продовжуйте слухати, продовжуйте практикувати і, найголовніше, продовжуйте вірити в себе. До побачення. Hey there, my friends. Welcome back to Fluent English Journey. I'm Tom, and today we've got something really special. You and I are going to practice 200 sentences about school, homework, studying, and university life. Think of it as your personal workout for English fluency. Part 1. Beginner sentences. I go to school every day. My school is big. My teacher is kind. I sit at a desk, I open my book and start to read. I write notes in my notebook. I listen carefully to my teacher. I ask questions in class. I do homework every night. Homework helps me learn. I use a pen. I use a pencil. I pack my lunch. I eat with my friends. The bell rings. I study English. I study math. I study science. I enjoy history. I draw in art class. I play on the playground. I run with my friends. I learn new words. I read a story. I write sentences. I spell words. I learn slowly. I learn every day. My teacher helps me. My classmates are friendly. I raise my hand. I give an answer. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but I always try again. I bring homework to school, the teacher checks it, I get a good grade. I feel proud. Sometimes homework is hard, but I never give up. I love learning. I want to be smart. I listen carefully. I speak clearly. I repeat words. I practice every day. I write slowly. I read out loud. I use a dictionary. I ask my teacher for help. I learn new grammar. I copy sentences. I check my work. I fix my mistakes. I get better each time. I like English class. I enjoy school. School matters. Learning is power. I want to be good at English. I dream big. I want success. School helps me grow. Homework helps me improve. I believe in myself. Part 2. Intermediate sentences. I go to school every morning to learn something new. My school is small, but it feels welcoming. I sit at my desk and open my book. I pay attention when my teacher speaks. I raise my hand when I want to answer. Sometimes my answer is correct, and other times I make mistakes. Every evening I sit down to finish my homework. Homework is not always easy, but it helps me understand. I write with my pencil and erase mistakes when I find them. My backpack carries my books and my lunch each day. At lunchtime, I sit with my friends in the cafeteria. We eat together and talk about school. After lunch, the bell rings and we return to class. In English class, I read short stories and practice speaking. In math class, I solve simple problems on the board. In science class, I learn about animals and the earth. I enjoy art class because I can draw and be creative. During break, I run outside and play with friends. At home, I read slowly and try to understand new words. I practice writing sentences to make my English stronger. I ask my teacher questions when something is not clear. My teacher is patient and helps me understand. I feel proud when I get a good grade. Sometimes homework is difficult, but I keep going. I use my dictionary to discover new words. I repeat them many times until I remember. I always take a few minutes to check my work before handing it to the teacher. If I see mistakes, I fix them and try again. Every single day at school, I pick up something new. My classmates are kind, and we often support one another. To get better at speaking, I sometimes read out loud, almost like I'm practicing for an audience. I believe that even the smallest steps move me forward in English. Sometimes I copy sentences from the board so they stick in my memory. When I study, I like to say words aloud, almost like talking to myself. I want my English to sound clear and confident when I speak. School gives me a chance to grow a little every day. Education matters because it opens doors to future opportunities. Deep down, I know English will help me later in life. One of my dreams is to go to university and study. I picture myself finishing school and reaching success. Mistakes don't scare me anymore. I see them as part of the learning process. Whenever I study hard, I feel proud of what I've done. My family cheers me on and always reminds me to give my best. I enjoy learning new words and using them during class. Daily practice makes me stronger in English. I feel proud when I understand what my teacher says. Each lesson adds something valuable to my life. Reading stories helps me collect new vocabulary. The more I read, the more confidence I build. The more I write, the better my writing becomes. I love English because it connects me with people all over the world. Math sharpens my thinking and helps me stay logical. Science makes me curious about how the world works. History teaches me lessons from the past. Art gives me space to be creative and show my feelings. School also teaches me to be respectful and polite. I learn to listen carefully when others are speaking. I learn to share ideas and work in groups with classmates. School isn't only about textbooks, it's also about real life. Studying is my path to reaching my dreams. I want good grades so my family will be proud of me. Homework can be tough, but it always helps me improve. I trust myself to learn step by step. With each day, my English grows a little stronger. I believe steady practice is the real key to success. Learning gives me both strength and confidence. Sometimes my friends and I study together after class. We share ideas, quiz each other, and help when someone is stuck. School is slowly carrying me closer to my future dreams. Every single day is another chance to grow. Part 3. Upper Intermediate, Reworked. Usually I study for an hour or two after school. Even when I'm tired, I remind myself that homework matters. Once I finish my assignments, I feel proud of the effort. I keep my notes neat and organized in separate folders. I often highlight key information in my textbooks. Flashcards are one of my favorite ways to remember new vocabulary. Studying with a friend makes the process easier. We often quiz each other before exams. I try not to leave everything until the last minute because preparing early makes me feel more confident. Sometimes I study in the library where it's quiet and calm. At home, I sit at my desk and turn off my phone. I need silence to really focus. My teachers give us homework almost every day. I work on math problems, reading exercises, and writing practice. Occasionally, I prepare short presentations too. To get better at speaking, I practice in front of the mirror. It might feel funny, but it really builds my confidence. I also read English articles online to learn fresh vocabulary. Sometimes I watch videos with subtitles, which makes learning fun and engaging. At school, we also do group projects. Working in a team teaches me cooperation and patience. Of course, sometimes we disagree, but we always find ways to solve problems. University life, I've heard, is very different from high school. Students there have more freedom, but they also carry more responsibility. Professors don't check homework every day. They expect you to be independent and responsible for your own learning. Many students live in dormitories. Life in a dorm can be fun, but it's often noisy. Some students cook together in shared kitchens while others eat in the cafeteria. Universities also offer lots of clubs and activities. Joining a club is a great way to make friends. Many students also work part-time jobs, so they have to balance their studies with work. Study and work often go hand in hand, and that's when time management really starts to matter. I've seen plenty of students, including myself, stay up late at night just to finish everything. Coffee becomes our best friend during those long nights. Exams can bring a lot of pressure, but planning ahead always makes things easier. That's why I like to create a study schedule before test week. Once I write out the timetable, I try hard to stick to it. I also make sure to take short breaks because breaks keep my mind fresh. After passing a big exam, I always celebrate with friends. We might grab pizza or sit down for coffee together. There's something special about success when you've worked hard for it. And when I fail, I remind myself that failure isn't the end. It's simply another chance to try again. Good teachers and professors always encourage us to learn from our mistakes. They remind us that learning isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes patience, step by step. Yes, sometimes studying feels heavy and difficult, but in the long run, it's always worth it. Education really is the key that opens doors to the future. One of my big dreams is to study abroad someday. Meeting students from other countries sounds exciting to me. We could share ideas, learn from each other's cultures, and grow together. To me, studying isn't only about grades. It's about growth, confidence, and building knowledge that lasts a lifetime. My personal goal is simple: Enjoy learning a little more each day. Homework, group projects, and exams are all part of this bigger journey, and I'm ready for it. I'll keep learning step by step because knowledge will be the guide that leads me to success. At university, managing your time wisely becomes essential. So there you have it. You've just shadowed 200 sentences all about school, homework, studying, and university life. We started with simple beginner sentences, then worked our way up through intermediate and finally to upper intermediate. By shadowing these lines, you didn't just practice English, you trained your listening, your speaking, and even your memory all at the same time. Remember, progress doesn't come from one giant effort, but from small daily practice. Even 10 minutes of shadowing each day can transform your fluency. So go back, replay this episode, and keep repeating until the sentences feel natural in your mouth. Thanks for joining me today, my friends. This is Fluent English Journey, and I'm Tom. Until next time, keep studying, keep practicing, and most of all, keep believing in yourself. Bye for now.